What's going on, everyone? Wesley Shoemaker, joined by Keenan Cummings on the WVSports.com podcast. We are now into week 2 of the college football season, and while the Mountaineers are reeling off of a week 1 loss, which they just didn't really play well across the board, they now turn their attention to what they hope to be is a get-right game against FCS opponent Albany in week 2. So, Keenan, thanks for talking yet again. Happy Wednesday, happy game week. We are into the flow of things finally, but just kind of a couple days removed from Penn State. What were some of your lasting impressions from Saturday's game?
I think the biggest question for West Virginia, and we touched a little bit on this in the post game, was this a one-off? Was this just a really bad performance against a very good team? Or are there concerns? I don't agree with the narrative out there that, this was a bad game, throw it away, everything's going to be okay. Because there were concerns in that game. West Virginia did not look good at all on offense, and that was billed to be a strength of this team. Defensively, there were some breakdowns. I think that there were concerns. The question really to me is, are these concerns that are going to compound on each other moving forward? Or was this just a perfect storm of running into a good team and just playing really poorly in the moment? So that's the question I have about this team. And, you look at it on paper, I think Penn State was good up front. I thought West Virginia, for as much slack as the defense took, I thought they did a pretty good job against the run. There were a few examples where Penn State did some things scheme-wise, and really they make it tough with a lot of their shifts, a lot of their motions, things West Virginia, couldn't execute in their basic offense. But they do a lot of things Kolanecki does with just moving things around and presenting things simply, presenting simple things in a difficult way. And I think they caught West Virginia the big, long touchdown run. There's one guy out of position, and they creased it, and they were gone. And they got a offensive lineman on a linebacker in the hole and got a hole. But other than that, you take that run, and there was another run that they had that they popped. They did a pretty good job on the ground. I thought West Virginia's pass defense, for the most part, I know people are talking about it. It was, it wasn't terrible. They had a few examples where guys got a little aggressive, got out of their lanes, weren't handling things the right way. And, the coaching staff said that this past week. It led to some of those big plays. But that aggression, that physicality that you want to see on defense, I think West Virginia did play with that. I think Jordan Leslie talked about that. And you can build on that. That's something you can build on moving forward. Pass rush was a bigger concern to me than what you saw in the secondary. Just me personally, I didn't think they affected Drew Aller at all. For the most part, anytime they did, he looked uncomfortable, but that's going to have to improve. Some of that is you're going against Penn State, but some of that's West Virginia. You're going to have to find a way for some of those guys to start affecting the passer, because you're going to play a lot more guys that are more mobile and able to throw on the run a lot better than Drew Aller can. So that's a concern for me. We'll see how it corrects. I don't think this week is going to be any answers one way or the other for West Virginia on that front. But once you get to Pitt, Kansas, you're going to play mobile quarterbacks that can run and throw the ball, more mobile than Drew Aller is. So we'll see how that continues to progress. Offensively, it was a mess. Not up to the standard. That's what Neil said, not up to the standard. I agree with him. They were just messing up basic things. They've been doing that the shifting and the motioning for a while now to kind of get looks they want. Neil mentioned it. It's kind of a lot like what Penn State does. You keep it simple, but you present it a lot of different ways to try to make it difficult for opponents. And West Virginia struggled with that. Garrett Green did not play well. We've hashed over that. I don't think that's going to be something that stays that way. We have a body of work for Garrett Green. I'm not concerned there. I am concerned just kind of about the offense figuring itself out. You don't know if maybe the moment was too big. We've discussed that, or what might have occurred, but it didn't look good. It did not look good, Wes, and you're not going to win. You're definitely not going to beat a team like Penn State. You're going to struggle to beat most teams if you play the way that they played offensively, and that really is outside Wyatt Milam and Nick Malone on the edge. That might be top to bottom on that side of the ball.
Yeah, for me, I'll start defensively. I think I agree with you here. If you want to categorize the offense and defense and say who am I currently more concerned about, it's the offense by far. And defensive side of the ball, getting after the quarterback, putting pressure, that was something that was just not there for West Virginia on Saturday. And as far as the secondary goes, though, it just felt like they were Like, it was just the explosive plays, right? And I think those are things that are easier fixes than if you're just getting beat for 5-yard, 6-yard runs continuously. It's easier to fix when there's one part of a play that breaks down rather than the defense as a whole is kind of not doing their job when you see a team kind of just run the ball down the field. So that's where I think for the Mountaineers on defense that there is some reason to think that they will improve, is because I think the big plays that they had are more necessarily about what Penn State did do well rather than about what West Virginia didn't do well. But on the flip side, on the offense, I think it's mostly about what West Virginia didn't do well. And as you said, there's not much to like about what we saw on Saturday. And so as you enter this Albany game, I think I said it from the jump, like a get-right game, especially for this offense. Like, if there's a time that you want to receive the ball and go score 7, I think it is now more than ever, right? And so, like, Garrett Green looked just not there. Jaheim White, like he had a couple good runs, but then he got hurt, obviously, and he just wasn't really there. CJ Donaldson, he had a couple good runs, but just as you said, top to bottom as an offense, they've really just have to figure it out. And I think it's a great opportunity that they get the FCS opponent. Obviously, this team says they're respecting Albany, saying all the right things, but West Virginia should win this game by a lot of points. And it starts with the offense, and they have to have a fast start in the first quarter on Saturday, I think.
Yeah, and I think the most disappointing part of it is this is a veteran offensive group. You're returning almost up and down. Yes, you miss Zach Frazier, you miss Doug Nestor, a couple other pieces, but this is the veteran group. Yes, there are guys that have senior, junior by their name on defense, but a lot of transfer influx, a lot of guys getting their first shot. So that necessarily that you didn't really know what to expect. You expected the offense to play well. And I understand Penn State's very good defense, very fast. Sees that, for the rest of the year. That doesn't excuse what occurred. Some of this, Neil mentioned basic fundamental football. They didn't operate in ways that a veteran team should be able to operate, regardless of how Penn State's going to play. So flush it. We're going to move past it. West Virginia has to move past it. We're to that point now. You've kind of dissected the Penn State game as much as you can, and you just got to hope that that's a one-off. Teams have done this before. There's plenty of teams. I'm not comparing West Virginia to an NFL team, but back during the Patriots run, they had that awful game against the Chiefs, and everyone, the Patriots dynasty's over. They ended up being fine. So you can fix things.
What a comparison you just made here.
Yes. I'm not comparing the situations.
Obviously, I know.
The type of panic, and I understand. The fan base is absolutely full bore. I get it. Like, I completely get it. In a sense, Neil's built this thing for the last 6 years. You kind of felt like this was your time, to come back. You were going to make
and they fell flat
nationally, and they fell flat on their face. I understand the frustration. I'm in no way discouraging the frustration. I think you could see it on the coaches, the players' faces. They didn't see that coming either. But now it's about responding. It's about picking yourself up, dust yourself off, and playing some good football. And I think that this offense is capable of that. You should probably see that this week. Yeah, yes, Albany is a good FCS team, and they were in the FCS semifinals last year. But that team is not the same one they're playing this year. I'm not taking anything away from their talent, but they lost a lot of people. Graduation, transfers, NFL, you name it. I think they might not return a starter on defense, I believe. I think it's a completely new defensive unit and only a few starters on offense. So, but it's a good team. It's going to be a challenge for West Virginia, I think, just to kind of get right yourself. Neil didn't quite say this week's about us. That's usually his line, when it comes to the FCS teams, but because there is some talent. They have some Division I transfers on their team. They have some players that can play, but, they just struggled to beat Long Island too. So I'm not going to sit here and paint them like another NFL reference to the 1985 Bears, but,
right.
They're going to be a challenge just for West Virginia to kind of get right for themselves.
Yeah, quick hits on Albany. They opened the season with a 27-21 win over Long Island. For the most part, it seemed like, at least to me, they got outplayed. They got outgained by far, but they had big plays, a 75-yard touchdown pass, a 55-yard punt return that turned into a touchdown, a fumble recovery return for a touchdown. So things like that won them the game in week 1. But just let's go through just really what things we want to look for this week. For me, it's the offense figuring itself out, as I said, but on a deeper level. And what I mean by that is I think a lot of these times when these FCS games kind of get out of hand, or when 28 points, when it's like 20 up, you're up 4 scores, either no matter what, it's like a lot of times like the backups will go on. I think if you're West Virginia, you kind of got to give more of these reps to this offense if you're Neil Brown, until you are fully confident that this group has it figured out to the extent that you want it. Because as you said, right after Albany, you're traveling to Pitt, and then you're home against Kansas. 2 pretty good teams who I know for Kansas, I think we both agree that West Virginia is going to have to score some points if they're going to want to actually contend to win that game. And so whether it's working on motions for 7 plays in a row, right? Or fixing there are certain things that they see definitely inside that building that they didn't like from Saturday against Penn State. And I am looking forward to seeing if they are going to give more of a chance to this offense and to give them more playing time than they necessarily would if things get a little out of hand, or if the score is a lot to a little, and try and figure those things out, because there's no more waiting around after this week, right? There's really no other time to kind of get things right and fix things unless you are doing it this week against Albany because of your opponents right after this week.
Yeah, and I just want to see good, crisp, clean football all the way around. West Virginia should win this game. Go out and prove you're the better team. I understand, like I said, I understand the frustration of the fan base. This is year 6. You return a lot, especially offensively, defensively. You were supposed to be an improved unit. So go out and prove it, because you have a section of this fan base right now that believes if it's not going to be this year, when's it going to be? And that's a fair question to ask, I think, at this point. So I don't think you answer any of these questions against Albany. I think it's going to be more about West Virginia. Neil didn't say it. I did, though. I think this is, if you struggle or lose to Albany, we've got bigger problems than wondering about the offense or defense. So I think that I'll just throw that out there. This is a game that West Virginia, you respect your opponent, but you're more talented. You need to go out and win. But for me, it's about fixing the issues, looking better, just looking more functional overall on both sides of the ball. I think defensively, you play with good effort like you did last week, be in better position, kind of correct some of the mistakes that you made, but kind of build on what you were doing there and continue to develop guys too, because, they had to get into their depth a little bit against Penn State, which I was happy to see that it was a thing. I don't think it affected them a little bit, no question, but I do think that you could see that there was more confidence in putting different guys in the game defensively, which really has not been the case at times in some spots. So that kind of stuff for me. I think that, you got to stop the run against this team. They're going to want to run the football. You do that. You do it to the degree you did against Penn State. Don't allow a few, get creased a few times, then you're going to look pretty good. I think defensively, offensively, just clean stuff up, play better football, and it starts with Garrett Green. He's got to play better. He's got to lead the offense better. And I think as long as you do that, West Virginia should be pretty comfortable in this one.
Yeah, on offense, right? Let's see a whole complete game of clean snaps, clean motions. I think that's the starting point. Unfortunately, we have to go back. I feel like we're going back a step only to go forward. But yeah, and then on the other side on defense, I want to see how a lot of these new guys can continue to play. Josiah Trotter, he played a really good game against Penn State. I know he's probably going to get lost in the shuffle, and he got stiff-armed or whatever, and that
he made that tackle.
I know he made the tackle, but the picture is him getting stiff-armed, so that's what everyone's been seeing. But he did make the tackle. But so guys like him, guys like Garnet Hollis, how do they respond week 2, and how do you see them respond after a loss? And then they're coming on and trying to get motivated, right? You went from as much motivation as you could possibly have in that Penn State rivalry game opening the season to now you have an FCS team and you have a lot of pissed off people outside of the building. And so how, as a team, can you find it within yourselves to kind of get things going? We've talked about this since July, right? This team is a veteran group. They're a veteran bunch, especially on offense. Those leaders are going to have to step up. You heard it from Preston Fox this week. You heard it from Garrett Green on Saturday of we are going to have to figure it out ourselves. And so I'm waiting to see how they do that. And also how quickly they can turn the page. Is there going to be any of that Penn State game that's looming in their back of their heads? How does that game possibly carry over, if at all, to Albany is something I really want to look for.
Yeah, you got to get rid of the ghost of Penn State. Game's over. There's nothing you can do about that. We can talk about it. We're the media. You got to flush that thing, get over. And I think I heard the right things from the players this week. regarding that, kind of getting it, flushing it, moving it. The good thing that I am a little bit encouraged that West Virginia's done this before. You can't have a bigger letdown than what happened against Houston last year. And, they rallied, turned things around. So Neil Brown's shown the ability to do this, turn things around and kind of send things in the right direction. You laid an egg. It happens. You laid an egg on national TV. It was a chance to kind of prove things. It didn't happen. Now you got to move forward. As cliche as it's become this week, it's been a calling card of coaches, players, you name it, but all their goals still ahead of them. There's no way you can.
Your season prediction, my season prediction, still perfect.
Yes, yeah, we're perfect right now. So I think that you got to flush it, move forward, and I don't have a lot of concerns that that's not going to happen this week. The real question is next week and the week after that, because that's when things get real, and you're going to find out a lot about this football team because you go from fringe top 25, talk of college football.
They somehow still got votes this week.
Yeah, you go fringe top 25, talk of college football to potentially 2-2, 1-3.
I will say, though, for all of our readers that are subscribed to the site, Mr. Cummings over here did give a prediction as 3-2-1 prediction, if he wants to reveal what that prediction was earlier this week.
Yeah, I think this team's going to turn around. I think they're going to finish the month of September undefeated. And I hope they prove me right. I've had a lot of success in that over the years. I've had some misses. I think if you make predictions, you're going to have hits, you're going to have misses, but I'm not throwing in the towel in the season by any means by what happened. But I do think just ignoring what happened and pretending that it's a one-off, is not necessarily the right move. I think there's obviously things this team needs to address and needs to get better at. So it's kind of a little bit in between, but I'm showing a little bit of faith in this group. And again, it's time to prove it. You have a team that you yourself, Neil Brown, and the coaching staff has referred to as the most talented one you've had. There's no more excuses.
You said it perfectly, I think. The sky's not falling, but there is cause for concern. And I think that's the biggest thing. But also, if your prediction's right and they head into Oklahoma State and Stillwater on October 5th or whatever it is.
I think this game's a distant memory.
And they're 3-1, right. No one's going to remember the Penn State game because you would have then beat Pitt on the road and Kansas at home. And so that's like you've got to put it behind you because the opportunities, as we both said, are still there. So do you want to give a score prediction, or what do you want to do here?
Oh gosh, yeah, let's do it. Why not? All right. I have not thought about this all week because, fortunately, we don't play for the team. So we can look ahead a little bit. They cannot. I think that West Virginia will win this football game. Clearly, if they don't, I think that this is going to be.
If they don't,
we're going to have the panic signals
right?
going. The blue light might catch on fire if they lose to an FCS team, but. I think that West Virginia will win the game. I don't know, 52-20.
Okay. I'll go similar score. I mean, they've got to win this game, and I think they are got to do it convincingly just to build some serious confidence within themselves. And so I think they do. I think it's going to be I'll go 58-10. I'll go 58-10. I think they blow them out of the water.
If they don't beat Albany, the rest of the schedule is going to be pretty rough.
Yeah. So that is it for this week's episode. We will see you either Saturday night or Sunday morning. It is a late kick. It is a 6 p.m. kick. Not the latest kick, but a later kick than the noon kick. However, we were still there forever because of the 2.5-hour rain delay. But that is neither here nor there. If you made it this far, we do appreciate you listening. I'm Wesley Shoemaker, joined by Keenan Cummings, and this is the WVSports.com podcast.